Chapter 2. Stringer had been born and raised in Calaveras County as Stuart McHale. They still called him Stu up around Murphy's and Angel's camp, and there'd have been no sensible reason to call him Stringer if he hadn't persisted so stubbornly in refusing that cushy staff position with his name written any way he fancied on the editorial masthead of the San Francisco Sun. But there was much to be said for working as a stringer or freelancer, paid by the word instead of the week. It offered a man at least the illusion that he was his own boss, who didn't have to fret about time clocks or, hell, show up at all if she was pretty and he was ahead on pocket jingle. And he'd never cottoned to being called Stu to begin with. It reminded him too much of the awful cow camp grub he'd been served while working his way through Stanford as a part-time writer for a mighty cheap outfit in the Coast Ranges. He'd been raised to pay his own debts as they came due. So after he'd spent another 48 hours in vain on the murder most foul of an obscure individual, he put on the sissy suit they liked him to wear on Montgomery Street and strode through the imposing cast-iron classic portals of the Sun a good 3 hours after sunrise. Friday morn, in, say, the middle of the silly season, as midsummer has ever been called in the newspaper business. The cavernous interior was ablaze with Edison light despite the hour, and a clutter with the distracting Gibson girls the infernal front office kept hiring every time they bought another typewriter. Stringer strode on back to the frosted glass box they kept Sam Barca in, lest he make Gibson girls faint with his pungent parody cigars and sulphuric swear words. Sam Barca was Stringer's boss, as well as the Sun's senior feature editor. Anyone could see what being locked in a box behind a desk had done to a good reporter's disposition. The crusty old fart had never offered a visitor a seat in living memory, so, as Stringer approached, he grabbed an empty bentwood chair and dragged it in after him. He got to sit down, haul out the makings, and almost finish rolling a smoke before Sam Barca got around to glaring up at him instead of all the papers on his cluttered desk. Sam Barca was perhaps 30 years old and 10 times uglier than Stringer, unless one admired balding, goat-faced Sicilians who favored green eye shades and cigars that looked more like chaparral twigs charred by an August brush fire. Barca grimaced even worse as Stringer lit his Bull Durham and growled, "I don't see what you get out of such mild tobacco. What happened? Did her husband come home at last?"